Hello, traders and investors. We are back in our Equitalks episode. It's Friday, March 8, 2019. How were your trades today, gals and guys? Did you earn or were you able to trim some losses today? Well, anyway, in today's episode, this is the third episode of our Equitalks program, and I am going to talk about Cebu Land Masters Incorporated with the stock code CLI. So, in every Equitalks episode, I discuss my technical analysis, I give my overall sentiment, and then I share with you some trade setups. Regardless if you already have a position in CLI or you're just planning to trade this name perhaps by next week or some other day. So that's the format of our Equitalks, and that's what you're going to learn here. I'm teaching you how to trade independently so you can invest profitably. So let's take a look at the chart of CLI. Okay, so I'm going to plot the support and resistance levels of this stock first. Okay, so I'm also going to plot the next resistance level that I can see on the chart. Okay, so this the immediate resistance that I see here is at 4.34. It's near 4.34, while the immediate support is at 3.96. Major resistance is at 4.69. Major resistance is at 3.70. CLI closed today at 4.26 with an intraday high of 4.29 and an intraday low of 4.20. Today's closing price is above the 10-day simple moving average, and it got a volume of it's um, it's a few shares shy of registering above the 10-day volume average. For me, this is quite a relatively low volume for me as far as the volatility of CLI is concerned. But before we talk more about its volume, I would like to give you some overview about my interpretation of its price relative to the position of its moving averages. While CLI is bullish in the short term, it has to it has to trade near, preferably above 4.69 so it can gain its bullish position in the long term. So CLI has a lot of work to do here. It's currently at 4.26 and it has to go above 4.69, let's say 4.70, just for it to regain its bullish position in the long term. So, and also, it's not yet completely bullish because I prefer to see this blue line moving below the red line. That's the kind of alignment that you would want to see if you have CLI already. Now, today's volume, I gave a comment a while back that it's relatively low for me, even though it's definitely 50% above. Uh, Definitely, it's at least 50% above its 10-day volume average. So, whenever I see a green candlestick, I prefer to see a support coming from the volume, and as much as possible, I want the volume to register above its 10-day volume average. In this case, that's not what I'm seeing. And moreover, MACD is still moving below the signal line. Perhaps if CLI closed above 4.30, perhaps there will be a chance for us to see MACD crossing or moving above the signal line. But let's see if there will be a continuation of green candlesticks by next week. But with this kind of volume that CLI has exhibited within this week, I'm not quite bullish. I'm not quite confident to say that next week, all 5 trading days of next week will be green candlesticks. Okay, perhaps CLI will continue to move sideways if it will continue registering this kind of flimsy volume, but that could change. especially if it starts registering volume, significant volume above, perhaps above, what level is this one? Perhaps above 3.77 um, million worth of volume or size of volume. Now, I'm going to give you some comments about the net foreign trade. Some of you are interested to know how are the foreign investors doing on CLI? Are they net sellers? Are they net buyers? Basing it from the net foreign trade histogram, I can say that CLI is on a net foreign selling status 2019 year to date. Okay, and risk level wise, CLI has a low risk level because of its volatility score of 25 or 24%. So that's what we prefer to see. If this flimsy volume will continue by next week, then we might just see another sideways movement similar to this week's price movement for CLI. So it's all about volume now. Okay, uh, the next probable direction of CLI will greatly depend on the size of volume that it will register every single day. There's not much that we can expect from the foreign investors because, as we've seen in the past 1 or 2 weeks, they did not they did not have any significant participation in trading CLI. Okay, so now I would like to show you some volume review for CLI because for those of you who have a position on CLI, I'm sure you would like to know what's the range or what specific price points got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. Are you guys checking on that? You should. You should know the price points that got the biggest volume and the highest number of trades. And I'll show you that on the volume review tab of First Metrosec Pro. So today, CLI closed at 4.26, and this is the exact and same price that got the highest volume at about 64% with only 15 trades, by the way. So that explains why I am not let's say I'm quite disappointed with the volume of CLI today. And by just seeing the number of trades here on the trades column, you can already tell why volume is relatively low today. Few trades, sometimes it will most often than not, low trades will translate into low volume. So if you are interested in the name, by next week, within the first 15 to 30 minutes of trading, you watch out for 4.26. It might start again at 4.26. But if things start with a weak momentum, I would suggest you wait below 4.20. Okay, you wait below 4.20. So that's my comment regarding the volume review of CLI. But would you like to know if it has any dividend announcement? Then we can check. Let's check on edge.pse.com. So CLI has or has not. Let's see. Oh yeah, it has a dividend announcement, cash dividend worth 20 centavos per share with an ex-dividend date of March 21, 2019. Okay, for those who are not sure on whether or not they will receive a dividend if they will buy or sell on or before or after the ex-dividend date, then I'll give you the answers. If you will buy before March 21, every single CLI share that you will have before March 21 will be entitled to receive this cash dividend. But if you will buy on or after March 21, those CLI shares are no longer subject to receive this cash dividend. Okay, did you get that? Now let me talk about selling. If you will sell, if you have CLI, of course, if you will sell CLI shares before March 21, then those shares will not receive cash dividend. Now, if you will sell on and after March 21, those CLI shares will still receive a dividend. Okay? I hope you get that. Now let's talk about my overall sentiment for CLI. My overall sentiment for CLI is actually neutral. I am neutral on CLI. Based on the data that I'm seeing right now, it's more likely that it will just move sideways next week unless significant volume will start to sprout on the volume histogram. Okay, so there you go for my overall sentiment on CLI. Now, if you have a position on CLI, let's say your average price on CLI is lower than 4.26, what should you do then? My advice is that you stick with your trailing stop loss, and your trailing stop loss should be calculated based on the current price, which is 4.26. That is if your average price is less than 4.26. What if you bought CLI last November when it was priced near 4.40? What should you do then? Of course, again, you should respect your trailing stop loss. But since your average price is higher than the current price of CLI, then I would suggest that you base your trailing stop loss from your average cost or average price. I hope you get that. Okay. Now, what if you don't have a position on CLI? Should you enter a new position on CLI by next week? My advice is that you should continue monitoring first because my buy signal, I don't see a confirmed buy signal yet. And what's the indicator that I'm using or checking to identify a confirmed buy signal? Okay, listen to this one. MACD should be moving, should cross above the signal line, and when that happens, the price should be moving above the 10-day simple moving average. Right now, the price is moving above the 10-day simple moving average, the green line. However, MACD is still busy walking below the signal line. So we want to see the MACD line, the blue line, moving above the red line, which is the signal line. Okay? Unless and until that happens, then I would still keep my advice that you should monitor. So just continue monitor CLI. That is if you are interested in the name or if you have a position on this stock. Okay? If you are into long-term investing on CLI, I would suggest that you check on your buy case. And your buy case is a list of reasons on why you think it's worth it to have CLI for the long run, in the long run or for the long haul. And for me, when it comes to long-term investing, my buy case should be strongly based on fundamentals. Okay? At least as long as my buy case is 80% true or intact, then I'm going to continue topping up my position in that stock. Once it has become less than 80% true, then I would consider selling in tranches if I cannot stomach selling everything at once. Okay? Now, if you are into short-term trading, please do not use the averaging down, quote unquote averaging down strategy just for the sake of seeing your average price uh, going down. No. Okay, you should not do that. Okay? So stick with your trailing stop loss. And if you don't have a position yet on CLI, again, continue monitoring. Alright, so I do hope you've learned something from the third episode of Equitalks for today. And we discussed CLI. And by the way, you will find this video on our YouTube channel. And you will also find us on SoundCloud, especially if you would like to listen while you are on your way to the office or while you're driving. You can listen to the audio version to our podcast. This has a podcast version in SoundCloud. Okay? So take a look at our SoundCloud and YouTube channel. It will be posted on our Facebook page as well. So you can follow us. That way, every time there's a new podcast or video uploaded on YouTube or SoundCloud, then you will be the first to be notified. Okay, so again, my name is JC De Guzman from Equilist Analytics. This is our third episode for the Equitalks. Have a great day.